What is the totally wrong thing that has become so widespread it's not considered wrong anymore? Spam email. We ignore it, it's just there. But it shouldn't be. I'd tack onto this one, paper mail that you never asked for. It's a waste of resources. Been getting magazines, catalogs, advertisements, and other solicitations in the mail, and I've never once responded in any fortuitous way to any of them. Who actually indulges in that to inspire that potential return on investment? Employers expecting employees to check emails while outside of work. Years ago, I had no idea email senders could get notifications if the recipient had received and read the email. I would just check work emails and pretend I never read them until I got back into the office the next day. Then my manager baited me into lying about not reading them. Never checked work emails for real after that. Making terms and conditions overcomplicated and long. Interestingly, because they're so long and dense, there have been several court cases in the US stating that they are not legally binding, since you are not expected to actually read it. A job making you seasonal or part-time, but works you at least 40 hours every week, never giving you full-time wage or insurance. 39.5 hours every week. Harvesting as much data as possible. You have to go to some extreme lengths to prevent your personal information being sent to random strangers you have never met. Bought a Samsung TV and setting it up required making a Samsung account. They know, by the time you unbox it and place it, that you have really no recourse but to relent and provide your account info. Fucking extortion. Social media addiction. I can quit any time I want. Closes Reddit, stares blankly at home screen before mindlessly opening Reddit again. Does anyone else think it's weird that we all know that our clothes, electronics, and pretty much anything else we buy is made by sweatshop or literally slave labor, and everyone seems to be fine with that? Edit. To everyone saying there's nothing average people can do about it or asking me what average people can do about it, there are a few simple things you can do. Shop less, don't buy things you don't need. Shop secondhand, take care of the things you do have, make them last. Write your legislators and write corporations themselves and let them know that what they're doing is not okay. Not everyone can be perfect and do everything, but everyone can do something. Your boss expecting that they can contact you at any hour. Having no regard for the physical and mental health in the name of hustling. Funnily enough, having no work-life balance is flaunted. I've never taken a sick day. Yes, I know. From the time you gave me the flu. Unpaid internships is incredibly wrong. What's even worse, paying for an internship. That's a thing? Grad student and unpaid intern here. My only class for this entire year has been our internship class, where we basically just meet once a week on Zoom and discuss how our internships are going. My university still charges full price tuition and has offered no discounts, despite the fact that it's all been online. So yep, I basically pay to be an intern. It fucking sucks, but at least I'm almost done. People going to work when they're sick. Not sure what it's like in the rest of the world, but I feel like in the US we've been conditioned to feel like it's worse to be an inconvenience by not showing up to work than going to work sick, miserable, and getting everyone else sick. I am not trying to attack those who can't afford to take time off. I absolutely understand that that's a reality for a lot of people. I get that many times there is no good choice. There are also times where paid sick time is available, but workers are bullied into feeling like they can't take time off or honestly think their place of work can't survive without them. That's bullshit. Cost of higher education. And not just the initial costs. The scam on books is despicable. The sexualization of our youth on social media and algorithms that reward them and promote it. For young girls, it's even just finding clothing that doesn't make them look older than they are. Have an 11-year-old girl who's tall for her age, but it's very hard to find kid clothes. It's like the clothing industry has conspired that it's time for her to dress sexy. Shorts and shirts are made very short. And in the kids section recently, the new thing is athletic pants but with a matching crop top, in sizes as small as XS, meant for like 6-year-olds. You can find some things, but it's absurd how hard you need to look to make them feel like a kid. Using your children to become an influencer. I have an Instagram page where I share play ideas as an educator, but my kids' faces are never in the photos. I don't mention their names either. So many parents with similar accounts are posting daily numerous photos and videos of their kids to thousands of followers and getting them involved in live feeds and stories. We have got a generation of kids who in 10 to 15 years' time will have their entire childhood documented online, and it will all have been done without their consent. Websites selling personal information by default. Being proud of and bragging about a lack of sleep as if it's some sort of virtue. Or working yourself till you are burned out. Like if you are not giving it 100% all the time, you are lazy. And when you finally crash and burn due to lack of sleep and exhaustion from working constantly, you are not hard enough. Arguments being verbal battles meant to be won. Not they fucking aren't. Arguments are discussions with the objective of reaching a truth or consensus. It's not about dunking on your interlocutor or asserting your beliefs over theirs. Also, if I stutter or can't speak my thoughts clearly, that doesn't mean you're right or you've won the argument. I just can't speak properly in that moment for WTV reason. Taking pictures of strangers who aren't doing anything wrong or untoward just to post up on social media with some snark or judgment. In middle school, I was very overweight. My body is very weirdly built, and I carry fat around my lower back, and I have a small, but I'm a guy, mind you, and so I had trouble pulling my pants up all the way. So one time I sat down at the cafeteria with my friends, and this prick behind me takes a picture of my ass crack and shows the whole table, who proceeds to laugh and point at me. I can still feel the embarrassment to this day. Talking on speakerphone while in a public place. Or who play their Bluetooth speakers on trails and other natural places. Literally the last place people can go to get away from modern noise. Believing lies because it supports your worldview. Photoshopping and social media. Sure, let me Photoshop myself into a completely different looking person and receive all praise as if it actually validates me. I'm a designer and I Photoshop images for work sometimes. Once people learn that I'm pretty good at it, so many people ask me to Photoshop their photos for the most mundane reasons. You look great the way you are. Life is not ideal. It kills me so much on the inside when my friends ask me to Photoshop their photos to make them look less flawed, and now I absolutely refuse to do it. How Western nations ship their garbage to small Southeast Asian islands and call it recycling. How much material classified as recyclable is, in truth, not recyclable. It's more a marketing win that kept people using plastics. Why else would China stop taking the world's trash? They could do nothing with it but bury it in the ground. Perfect attendance being celebrated for kids. When my kid is sick, he stays home. He's healthy too. I can't imagine having a kid with a disorder that makes them prone to being sick more often and then not getting some shitty little award for not being in school every day. Kids get sick. It's not wise to send them to school anyway so they can spread the germs. Schools push attendance, because butts in seats is one of the factors that the government uses when deciding how much funding schools get. The customer is always right. I actually looked into this as I was curious, and honestly, when it was first a thing it did make sense. It just doesn't make sense now. So to explain, the customer is always right originates back when buyers beware, as also a thing, when quality control and uniformity wasn't really a thing, so you could buy a brand new vacuum slide from the store that is missing part of the motor so doesn't work. The customer is always right was started by a single store, and it was the slogan meant to mean if the customers said the store sold them a defective product, then the customer was. Naturally, this took off and made the store a huge success because it gave customers peace of mind about their purchases, which made the idea take off. In modern times, where the chances of getting a defective product is extremely unlikely, it no longer fits, and was also never supposed to apply to anything else except returns really to begin with. Sadly, the reason the phrase exists is long gone, but the mentality remained. Maybe this is just a me thing, but as someone who is adopted, I am really bothered by adoptive parents who lie to their kids. I think starting your relationship with your child based on a lie is completely wrong, and it will come back to bite you later. Unfortunately, some parents who cannot biologically have children will choose to supplement this by adopting a kid and telling that kid they gave birth to them. This needlessly stigmatizes adoption by making it a shameful secret, while also making sure that if this child finds out later in life, they will resent their parents 100% and never trust them again. It's just awful. My parents were completely transparent with me from a really young age, and I grew up well. I love my parents and personally have no desire to ever meet my biological mother. Every adopted kid is different, but they all deserve to be told the truth. Crimes as long as you have money. And I don't mean that you can pay lawyers or something. Sometimes it just looks that you are just allowed to be a criminal if you just have money. Taking pictures of random people and turning them into memes. Single-use plastic. It is the stupidest thing humans can do. You need spaghetti, so you buy them wrapped in plastic? A material that, if not burned, will disintegrate into ever smaller particles that will creep their way back into the bodies of all living things on Earth. Is that really worth it for a little bit of convenience? Women's clothing not having pockets. I'm a guy and I use my pockets all the time. I would die without them. Alcohol addiction. Now it's a social media trend amongst wine mums and anyone else who has experienced a mild inconvenience during their day. Somehow needing a drink to get through the day is relatable and funny now, instead of concerning. Excessive amount of vitamin C as a cold remedy. That fucker Linus Pauling dreamt up this piece of shit, and now the entirety of America believes in taking thousands of milligrams of vitamin C a day, when all it does is stress your liver and kidneys cause it's water-soluble and cannot be stored. Being so much against cultural appropriation, you are basically against genuine goodwill mixing, sharing of cultures, immigration. For real, some of you are racist fuckers and not even realize it. Lots of work and underpaid. Politicians openly lying with no consequence. What is a totally wrong thing that has become widespread? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.